Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Voices of Forestry podcast. I'm your host, Seth Stevenson, the Communications Coordinator with the Arkansas Forestry Association. And today I'm joined by Josh Barkheimer. Josh, thank you so very much for giving me a little bit of your time this morning to
Sure
talk.
thing. I appreciate it.
And now, Josh, you were with the Arkansas Association of Consulting Foresters.
Correct. I'm the chapter chair. I've been the chapter chair. I'm in my second term right now.
And that kind of gives away what we're here to talk about today, which is, in fact, consulting foresters.
Yes.
But before we get into that, let's just kind of hop into you, Josh, if you don't mind. Give us a little background on what you've done over the years.
So I've been in consulting forestry for right at 20 years now. Graduated in 2000, come straight to work in consulting, and have done various things in consulting, various aspects of it. It's pretty, when you talk about consulting, it's pretty broad scope there of things as far as scope of work there for different clients. So, but I've been doing that for a little over 20 years now.
And so, I guess, is that kind of where you envisioned yourself when you went to school? Because it's kind of a very specific part of forestry.
It is. It's, forestry is kind of segmented somewhat. You know, you've got your procurement guys that maybe works for a mill buying timber from landowners, such as what we manage for. The consulting side, like what we do, or maybe a land resource guy for one of the larger timber companies. You know, there's a broad spectrum there. I kind of got involved. I worked for a consulting forester or a consulting firm straight out of while I was in college for a little bit, and that kind of got my feet wet, and that's kind of the way I ended up going in my professional career.
And that's usually how it works, right? You get your feet wet in something, and that's just where you land.
That's right. That's right.
So, Josh, before we get going into just what exactly you do, give us a rundown of what the Association of Consulting Foresters. Who is this entity?
So the Association of Consulting Foresters is a national association. It's just a group of forestry professionals. I say it's forestry professionals, but we've kind of expanded ourselves in the last few years to where we do have associate members who are not necessarily, they don't necessarily hold forestry degrees, but they have a natural resource background. And so we've kind of you've got a 3-year, I guess, a candidacy period. So we've got, just for instance, in our local chapter, we've got 20 full members. We've got 2 candidate members, 3 lifetime members, which are, retired individuals that are still active, in the forestry community. But yeah, there's associate members as well. So just because someone's not necessarily a forester, if they've got a background in natural resources, whether it's GIS background or whatever else, surveying, some of those are connected to forestry and timberland management. So we accept those members as well. So,
and that kind of harkens back to the collaboration that we've seen and talked about in other episodes of all these different groups coming together to accomplish one goal in the forestry industry here in Arkansas.
That's right. And we've seen that even in some of our universities where the degrees themselves are a little more broader spectrum of maybe it's a natural resource degree versus a forestry degree or wildlife degree or something of that nature. So
okay. Well, now let's hop into just a consulting forester. First off, I guess we need to establish what is it that you do. What are you doing on a daily basis?
So each consulting firm is set up a little bit different as far as maybe the services they provide. The firm that I'm with, we've kind of got different divisions, I guess you would say, within our consulting firm. A lot of decision making goes into owning timberland with any investment property. Or for some people, if it's a recreational property, they've got different ideals and goals. So in making some of those decisions is partly on valuation. So I do a lot of appraisal work. I'm also a certified general appraiser, and so that what I do in that role kind of helps our clients make decisions moving forward, whether it's planning for the next generation, so forth. A lot of consulting foresters, the bulk of what they do, of course, is in the woods, the timberland, making decisions whether it's doing those timber inventories for clients to see exactly what they have in the first place and where to go from there. And I guess that's what really drives most foresters to kind of get into that role. They like that idea of helping those clients make those decisions.
Yeah, because it's a lot. And the 2 years that I've been here, I've noticed that it's not just plant some trees, hope they grow, and then cut them down when they're big. There's way more to it than that. And
that's right. And as a part, kind of like we talked about earlier, there's different divisions. Maybe it's a large timber company. If you're in the land resource division, you've kind of got a goal, and that goal is the same across several thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of acres. Mm-hmm. Whereas with private landowners, each one of those timberland owners, has different goals. It may be generating income, it may be a place for recreation, for hunting, or just bird watching, or whatever it may be. There's different goals, and those different goals dictate what we need to do to hit those goals for those clients.
And so you guys work with private landowners and bigger companies, correct?
We do. It could be a small landowner with 20 acres, some larger private individuals that may own several thousand of acres. That's right.
So is there one group that you work with more than the other, or is it kind of a 50?
It's a pretty good mix for our company.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty good mix. Some companies do more work for some of the TMO groups, maybe, rather than just what we consider, private landowners. The family-owned forests, that have 40 acres, 100 acres, or a few hundred acres.
Okay. So the one thing that I've also heard working with the association is how important it is to get someone like you, get a consulting forester out there to kind of look around at property, whether you are a private landowner or a bigger company. Why is that the case?
So with, consulting foresters, we're there for the landowner. Mm-hmm. We're not out there, as consulting foresters, we've got a code of ethics that we go by and adhere to those. And part of that is, the landowner is the principal. That's who basically our employer is, mm-hmm. if you will. And so we're working for that landowner. A lot of times it's, people wondering why should I hire a consulting forester? Well, we're working for you, and we're kind of that between yourselves and that timber buyer out there. A lot of great timber buyers out there that we deal with on a regular basis. But for the untrained or uneducated landowner, knowing what a good price is for their timber, most people don't know that. And that's an ever-changing market, and mm-hmm. knowing what's happening right now, what's potentially happening with some of the end users, the mills, that is, kind of helps us plan and dictate what we need, when we need to do sales and things of that nature. Not necessarily just the best price at that time, but maybe the best price maybe 6 months down the road or a year down the road, mm-hmm. and helping landowners make those decisions is where we as professional foresters kind of come in for them.
So you guys are pretty plugged into the market and the economy.
You have to be. Yeah. You have to be to do good due diligence for our landowners. You mm-hmm. have to be. Yeah.
Well, that's perfect. And I guess I planned this out a little bit better than I thought I did, because we just spoke to Dr. Matt Pelkey about just forestry economics in general and the importance of having a strong forestry economy to help the smaller communities and the smaller landowners out there. So this is working out fantastic.
Most definitely. And it takes persons like Dr. Pelkey to, because we can't sit there, we've got our management side of things to get done on the ground, boots on the ground a lot of times. And it's great to have resources like Dr. Pelkey that publish information on a pretty regular basis, and other individuals or companies out there mm-hmm. that publish data and put that out pretty regular that we depend on, and to kind of see where things are going. Between that and what we see in our really local markets, and each landowner kind of has their own market because of location, so to speak. But how does that fit for that landowner? How's it gonna affect them price wise?
And so it seems, it seems that, kind of taking a couple steps back here, but what you guys do, without a landowner and land, there would be no you.
That's right.
So you guys are, relying on these landowners to have healthy forests and to have healthy timber, so you guys can continue doing what you do.
That's right. So we're working together. Their goals are our goals. We want them to have what they need to move forward. It's a lot like much like land brokerage or real estate brokerage. We're out there working for that owner or buyer to get them the best deal that we can. And we really take to heart that their goals are our goals.
So if I were a landowner and I needed to get in touch with you guys, for instance, what would I expect when I gave a call and say, hey, I want a consulting forester to come out, take a look at my land, talk to me? What can I expect after that?
So there's a lot of landowners that, maybe they are, they don't live near the property. They're out-of-state landowners. Some of them may live on the property and are heavily involved with managing the property. Some of them are, a lot less involved. And depending on the scope of work that they're needing, what services they're needing, we'll make a proposal for them, and structure that proposal to fit them the best. Like I said, some individuals may just want, to handle a timber sale for them. Some may want long-term forest management. So it's a varied role for even each client.
Okay. So yeah, I guess I didn't realize that then. Then it's not just like I give a call, say, hey, I need someone, and you just kind of run through a checklist of things. It's a very specific thing that you're going out there for then.
At times, yes. Yeah. So, and a lot of times we get those calls from clients that don't really know what they want or what they need from us. And that's where we kind of come in and tell them what all services we can provide. And from there, they can decide, where they need us at, and we make a proposal to tailor that.
Okay. So I guess you mentioned out-of-state landowners, which we spoke to another out-of-state landowner a while back in an earlier episode. So is there any specific difference between an out-of-state landowner and someone who is either on the property or relatively close?
It can be. So like if somebody, lives on their property or maybe even just hunts on the property, if they're out there on a regular basis, maybe they just want us to administer a timber sale for them and oversee that. For an out-of-state landowner, they may want more property oversight as far as inspections and stuff, to make sure that everything's going right. A lot of landowners, if they do live out of state, want to realize some extra income from recreational leases and may want to lease the property out. And most consulting firms handle hunting leases as well for their clients. Just another part of that scope of work, that we provide for them.
Okay, all right. Well, no, this is all good because I keep saying that I'm learning as I'm doing these episodes. So hearing that it varies and there's so many different things that you guys can offer someone who may be stuck isn't necessarily the right word, but who may not know what to do, what the next step is for them. Is interesting. So I guess, what is some advice that you would give to someone who may be listening to this, who's a landowner or who has heard, okay, hiring a consulting forester is what you need to do? What is some advice that you might give to them?
What advice might I give to them?
I know it's kind of a broad yet specific question.
As we begin to talk to those landowners, there will be something said that kind of triggers us to maybe go down a different road of questions that say, oh, okay, I see what you're kind of wanting. Whether it's maybe somebody who's just inherited the property and they don't even know what's on the property, maybe they've never even seen it possibly. We can go out, take a look at the property for them, and make a plan for them. Hey, here's some options that you can do. Whether it's from the forest management side, recreational side, there may be several options they have to move forward with forest management. Some of those are a lot more intensive, maybe more money input to the property, but a greater return on the backside. So it's really up to each individual. And it may be that if they just inherited it, maybe they don't want to keep it long term. All that weighs into how we manage that property. If it's an eventual sale of the property 5 years down the road, those are things that we take into consideration, on how we manage the property. There's a good bit of consulting foresters out there that offer other services. I spoke about the appraisal services earlier, but there's also land brokerage services, and a lot of consulting foresters offer that, as a real estate salesperson or agent.
So it seems to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, that at least starting the conversation with someone, a consulting forester specifically, will kind of help get you to where you need to be as a landowner, get you to what you want to do, even if you don't know what you want to do, if that even makes sense.
Yes, yeah. So you're right. You don't. I guess you don't know what you don't know, and that's where we as consulting foresters kind of step in and help, and working for them as kind of a fiduciary responsibility for the landowner. We step in for them.
So Josh, at the end of the day, this is still an expense. They're paying you or whomever for a service. So how does that kind of work out? How do you get paid, I guess? If that's not too much to ask.
No. So each firm has their own fee structure set up differently. And some of them probably go on a per acre rate. Some of them on a commission basis based on timber sales. Much like you would see a real estate broker selling a house or something other or land, it's a fee structure or commission based off the sale. Sometimes it's a mix of those two, between a commission and an annual fee. And based on the services that you need, that consulting forester is going to structure, your fee structure based on what you're needing. The hour or some things are on an hourly rate. If there's some things out there that specific jobs, there's an hourly structure in there. So each consulting forester is going to give you a proposal of how the fee structure is going to work. And a lot of landowners, why am I paying somebody to do this when I can just go to a timber buyer and sell directly? And sometimes that's okay, but like I said, you don't know what you don't know, and with us being up to date and up to speed on markets, and that's where we bring value to the landowner.
That expertise.
And getting them top dollar for their timber, and making those decisions for them when the best time to sell is. That's where we bring value to the table for that landowner.
Okay. And now you did mention earlier when we were talking a code of ethics. So I guess that's another question that I have is how do I know the consulting forester that I'm hiring is working by that code of ethics and not just some dude or some lady who's going to give me a crap job? Yeah.
So, we adhere to a code of ethics with the Association of Consulting Foresters. Not that, there aren't good foresters out there that aren't part of the association. There's some great foresters out there. But we kind of want to step up our game as consulting foresters. And as part of the association, we can, like other professional organizations, whether it's, in real estate, National Association of Realtors or whatever, there's organizations typically within each profession where we're able to learn from each other, bounce things off each other, share information, and through the association, we're able to do some of those things. We're in the end, we're competitors, but we want to see each other do well as well.
So the association is kind of a good sign that someone is probably working under those ethics.
That's correct. Okay. That's correct. Yeah. So we've got several canons and codes of conduct, that we abide by and we adhere to, And that's kind of what we hold ourselves to and each other to.
And what are some of those ethics, those codes? This might be a dumb question, but what are some of the things that you guys kind of strive to keep on the forefront of your mind?
So it's a matter of who we're working for, and that's the main outline of those codes of ethics there. Who we're working for, it kind of points that out. There's no blurring the lines, so to speak, as to, okay, we're out here maybe buying timber on as well, or but no, we're strictly working for the landowner, and that's where we kind of come to the table and let people know who we are, who we represent.
Okay. It sounds like I'm giving you a test, and that's not what I'm trying to do here. So I appreciate you kind of humoring me as we talk about some of this stuff. But there are consulting foresters all around the state, correct? At least in Arkansas. We're talking about Arkansas right now.
That's right. Yeah. Not only, within our association, there's other consultants scattered around the state. Even our members are scattered across the state. Of course, they are kind of, I would say, heavily concentrated to the southern part of the state. We've got a lot of national forest up in the northern, western part of the state. There's not as much private ownership. So, where most of the private ownership is located at, of course, is the southern part of the state, and that's where we see the greater concentration of our members.
And I guess that makes sense, because that's where most of the time I go anywhere outside of Little Rock, it's usually to southern Arkansas, because that's where most of the forestry stuff seems to be going on.
It is on the private side. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Josh, I think that kind of about covers everything that I wanted to touch base with you on. If people were curious to learn more about the Association of Consulting Foresters, where would they go to do that?
So they could go to the Association of Consulting Forester website. It's acf.foresters.org. They can go there. And there's also a lot of other resources out there. There's other trade organizations, whether it's forest landowners, that people can go to that own privately owned timberlands, and get some resources that kind of interlink there. Timberland Owners Association, things of that nature.
And that should have everything they need, if they're curious, I guess, just where to start and what they need to be looking for.
That's right.
Cool.
That's right.
All right. Well, Josh, thank you so much again for giving me this 20-30 minutes of your time today, especially with everything that's going on in the world. We're able to do this safely and to get all this information out to those who might be needing it.
I appreciate it. I enjoyed it, Seth.
Awesome. Well, Josh, thank you again. And thank you guys for listening. I want to give a shout out, as always, to Rob McCormick / some guy named Rob for the use of our theme song, The Same Love, off of his album, The Folkster. You can find that on Spotify or wherever you get your music. And if you're interested in learning more about the Arkansas Forestry Association, you can find us at arkforest.org. That's ARKFORESTS.org. We've got some information there about consulting foresters, and we also have our buyer's guide if you need help finding someone in your area, whether it's a consulting forester, timber buyers, anything that you may be interested in looking for, we've got that there. And we also encourage you to go listen to some of our older episodes of Voices of Forestry. If you found this one, odds are you are able to find the others, but if you can't, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and there's a page on the Arkansas Forestry Association website for you to take a look, or take a listen actually, at some of those older episodes. But again, thank you for joining us this month. We'll be back on the first Friday of next month with a new topic and a new speaker. I've been Seth Stevenson, and thank you for listening to the Voices of Forestry.